How's it guys? Welcome back. I'm Macon Campbell and this is Macon Stuff. So today I only have a small project. It's going to be a restoration / repair. And what, pray tell, may it be? Well, let's have a look. There we go. So you may be asking, what the hell is that? And let me tell you, this is sort of a model airplane. It has a little motor with no propeller at the moment, and it has a tiny solar panel. I've tested it. The electronics of this whole system seem to work fine. So all I need to do is make it look pretty again. So this actually belongs to a good friend of mine, and as the story goes, his grandfather made this for him when he was just a little boy. This friend of mine made a promise with himself many years ago that he wanted to have a pilot's license before he turned 40, and lo and behold, he did just that. So he totally forgot that he had this. He found it in a box recently, and just around the time that he got his license and his aeroplane. So he asked me if I could make this thing look a little prettier, and I said I'd give it my best shot. So as you can probably see, this thing has had better days. As you can see, most of the thing is made out of wire. It has machine screws soldered on the base, which go through to the bottom and are fastened with bolts. I'm going to be using a soldering iron and some soldering wire to try and put this thing back together. I've got absolutely no idea if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make a little wooden propeller that can fit on there. And I'm also going to make a wooden base for this thing to sit on. So hopefully this is going to be a quick job. So let's get at it. So what some of you may already have known is that my idea of soldering the wires together didn't work. In fact, I tried many different ways. I couldn't get the wires to stick together. I eventually tried some quick steel. That also didn't work. I then tried only a tiny bit of normal 2-part epoxy. That kind of worked, but I used a very small amount. When I applied a bit of pressure to it, it broke off again. I did all this off camera because I was testing. There you can see a whole bunch of testing. I did a bit of research and I've come to the conclusion that the wires were either spot welded together or TIG welded together, and I'm inclined to go with the spot welding, as I don't see any filler material in the gaps. But what I'm going to try now is to use the epoxy again. I'm going to apply a little bit more than what I did and see how it goes. Okay, so while we're waiting for this to dry, let's get started on the propeller. So as some of you smarter people may have guessed, all of my efforts to put Humpty back together again ultimately failed. The soldering didn't work, not with the gas or with the soldering iron. I ended up burning myself with the soldering iron as well. That was great fun. The epoxy didn't work, the Pratley steel didn't work. Re-epoxying it with twice as much epoxy also didn't work. So I ended up having to take it to a friend of mine who has a TIG welder. He managed to TIG weld it together. Now it seems like this has got some sort of coating over it. So some of the coating, as you'll see, is burnt off. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the Dremel tool with a buffing wheel on it and some buffing compound, and I'm going to polish this whole thing and see how clean I can get those weld marks. So and once that's done, we're in the home stretch. I'm very pleased with how the base turned out. It's very nice. I'm even more pleased with the little propeller I managed to carve. I think that came out really nice. I think Tony's going to like that too. All I have to do then is slap some finish on here, drill some holes for where these screws are going to go in, wire up the little motor, and we should be done. So let's get to it. So I didn't get off as much of the burn marks as I hoped or expected I would. So what I'm going to try is a metallic spray paint, which I've tested on this little piece of wire here, just to see what it looked like, and it looks okay. It doesn't really come off when you bend the wire. It does, however, come off if you scratch it hard enough, but hopefully no one's going to be scratching this thing, so I think the spray paint should be okay. So I'm going to do that.